Before we start, please don't forget to like and subscribe. The rain tapped softly against the windows that evening, a gentle rhythm that usually made the kitchen feel safe. But tonight, the air felt different, sour, heavy, charged with something I couldn't place. I stirred the pasta sauce, trying not to overthink the silence. Megan stood by the sink, stiff, arms crossed, radiating tension. I knew her well enough to sense that something was off. "Megan," I said quietly, stepping closer and touching her arm, "you've barely spoken today. Are you okay?" She didn't look at me, just muttered, "My stomach hurts." That was it. Clipped, emotionless. My stomach tightened. "Okay," I said slowly. "Is it serious? Should we?" I said, "I'm fine." She snapped, sharper this time, eyes fixed on the empty sink. I gave her space, but after a pause, I tried again. "You've been distant all week. If something's wrong, we need to talk." She spun around, the dish towel slipping from her shoulder. "Eric, not everything is about you. Just drop it." Her words hit like a slap. "Where is this coming from?" I asked. "I'm tired of pretending everything's fine when it's not," she hissed, voice rising. "I can't even breathe in this house without being questioned." I stepped closer, keeping my voice low. "Megan, asking if you're okay isn't interrogation. That's what a husband does." "Oh, spare me the husband routine," she scoffed. "You want me to smile, cook dinner, sit across from you, and act like you don't smother me." I clenched my jaw. "So now I smother you because I care." She laughed bitterly. "Because you control everything, even how I feel." Her words struck deep. Watching her speak with that precise anger felt rehearsed, like she had been waiting for this moment. "Megan, if you need space, take it. But don't rewrite history to justify pushing me away." I said softly. "I'm not pushing you away. You just don't fit into the version of my life I want right now." The silence that followed was deafening. Rain against the glass, my own breathing, the calm before a storm. I didn't yell or beg. I just nodded, understanding finally something I had been blind to. That night, I slept on the couch, not because she asked, but because I couldn't lie beside someone who looked at me like that. 7 years of marriage, half-paid mortgage, 2 cars, Saturday dinners with friends, stable routines, or so I thought. But the cold glance in the kitchen revealed a foundational crack I hadn't noticed. Morning came with sunlight through the blinds. Birds chirped as if nothing had happened. I stood, fully dressed, while Megan remained in bed, back to me. "Morning," I said lightly. "I called Dr. Benson's office. They can see you tomorrow at 9:00. I said, carefully neutral. Megan shifted, eyes narrowing. "You what?" "I made an appointment, just to be safe." I explained. "No one told you to do that?" "You've been saying your stomach hurts. You snapped at me yesterday, so I called, that's all." She sat up, arms crossed. "You think this is concern. It's control, Eric. You want to manage me like a project. You told me you weren't feeling well. I'm trying to help." She paced, opening and slamming drawers. "You've always been like this, quiet, reasonable, but keeping tabs, monitoring me, waiting for me to slip. Were you hiding something?" I asked, voice low. She froze mid-step, lips curling between disgust and panic. "Unbelievable. You think I'm lying." I didn't answer. She grabbed a pillow and threw it. "God, I can't breathe in this house." "You're not stopping me from breathing." I asked if you wanted to see a doctor. "No, you scheduled it. That's the difference." I exhaled slowly. "You're right. I didn't ask. Maybe I should have, but I didn't think it necessary when you said you weren't well." She stormed past me, yanking open the bathroom door. "You're painting yourself as the calm one, huh? The good guy, manipulation." Door slammed. I stared at the wood grain, thinking how quickly everything had shifted. Just days ago, laughter had filled the room watching a cooking show. Now accusations. Minutes later, she stormed out, bag over her shoulder, saying she wouldn't report her moves to me. Silence fell, confusion, worry, and a chill of doubt settled in. 3 days passed. Megan didn't reschedule. We pretended nothing happened. Friday brought a small backyard get-together with Emily and Brian. Megan dressed carefully, smiling too brightly, laughing too easily. I watched tense. She lingered near Brian, hand brushing his arm just enough. I slid my arm around her shoulder. She flinched slightly, letting it fall. Brian noticed. Emily didn't. Megan's gaze lingered on Brian, their exchange subtle, unspoken. I said nothing, only observed. By Tuesday, I went to Carl, an old friend and former cop, discreet and precise. I think my wife is hiding something. I said, not just an affair. Carl nodded, taking the details. You want proof, clean, legal, truth only. A week later, Carl played the recording. Megan's voice trembled. I bought 3 tests, Brian, all positive. Brian's tense reply, are you sure? Megan, yes, in my purse in a hospital parking lot. She admitted she planned to list me as the father for appearances and convenience. I pressed my hands over my mouth, not just betrayal, but a cold, calculated deception. Photos, timestamps, recordings, proof of her scheme. I walked into the hospital calmly, hands in pockets, purpose steady. At the front desk, I'm here about my wife, Megan Harper. I'm her husband, Eric Harper. Verification done. Medical forms showed my name listed as the father. I held the truth like a weapon. Cold, factual, precise. Nothing to argue. The doctor's quiet guidance, be there for her. Early weeks are overwhelming. I turned and walked down the hall. Steps echoed. Control, not anger. Megan later appeared, dressed in silk, candles flickering. Perfume familiar, intentional. Soft smiles, we exchanged pleasantries. Her touch traced my chest. I was hoping you'd say that. Lips grazed my jaw. I stepped back. I'm tired, I said quietly. Her expression faltered, the first crack. In her armor, she tried to engage. I refused. I'm acting like it's very real, I said. She stepped back, realization in her eyes. Silence. Morning light reflected her uncertainty. I cooked breakfast, eggs, methodical. Megan watched tense. You just walk away, I said calmly. You don't seem to be here with me anymore. She accused, snapped, but I stayed calm. I slid the plate toward her. Words unnecessary now. Food became truth, not discussion. She stood, robe falling, watching. By noon, clouds loomed over Raleigh. I sat outside a law office preparing to act decisively. Inside, Attorney Mitchell Hayes scanned Carl's report, transcripts. Timestamps, photos, airtight, he said. Custody, assets, public sympathy, all on your side. Clean execution, quiet, precise, truthful, not revenge, closure. My steps were steady, controlled. Part of a story moving toward its resolution. Emily's backyard glow could not mask tension. Megan smiled, bright, restless, drawing attention. She announced a pregnancy, rehearsed, overjoyed voices around her. Brian stiffened, pale. I held up the flash drive. Proof, audio, photographs. Truth unveiled. Megan's smiles faltered. Brian, caught. I left them to explain. Silence and clarity replaced my need to intervene further. The courtroom smelled of polished wood and the faint tang of paper. Not justice, just bureaucracy in motion. Megan sat across the aisle, hair tied in a neat bun, lips pressed tight, wearing gray that screamed humility. Her lawyer leaned in, whispering rehearsed lines. My attorney, Mitchell Hayes, sat silent and confident. He didn't need to craft a story. The truth was already in the folder. The judge called us forward. Megan's lawyer spoke first. Your Honor, my client does not contest the paternity evidence. She acknowledges her mistake and asks the court to consider the emotional context. She lived in isolation, emotionally abandoned in a marriage where communication had long broken down. No malice, only confusion and fear. I didn't move, and yet she falsified medical records. Mitchell said firmly, that's not fear. That's fraud. We have documentation, audio recordings, and a timeline showing that Mrs. Harper admitted her plan to the biological father weeks before Mr. Harper knew anything. This wasn't a slip. It was a scheme. The judge turned to Megan. Mrs. Harper, do you dispute what's been presented? She swallowed hard. No, Your Honor. Silence settled like a weight. Then came the ruling. The court finds that Mr. Harper is not the legal father of the unborn child. Parental rights are removed. Mr. Harper will not be held responsible for any financial obligation related to the child. All jointly held property will be retained by Mr. Harper, except for the car currently in her name. Legal separation is granted immediately. Finally, Mr. Brian Harper will be listed as the legal father and assume all parental responsibilities upon birth. I glanced at Brian. His head remained down. Megan's jaw trembled. I felt steady, free, the air no longer pressing on my chest. Mitchell touched my shoulder lightly. You got everything you came for. No. I replied, voice calm. I got something better, closure. Walking out of the courtroom, I felt the finality of truth. Weeks of tension, betrayal, and doubt had been distilled into a clean, decisive moment. Outside, the sun fought through clouds over Raleigh, the city indifferent to personal wreckage. The following Sunday morning, Emily knocked on my door, hair pulled back, eyes red from sleepless nights, shoulders straight. Hey, I said, stepping aside, I don't need to sit. She whispered, I just wanted to ask you, how did you not break? I let silence sit for a moment. I did quietly when no one was looking. Her eyes shimmered, no tears falling. Some betrayals hit like earthquakes, she said, and if you rebuild it right, I said the ground ends up stronger than before. Brian had moved out the day before. Emily nodded approval and relief in her expression. She stepped forward, hugged me, a gesture not romantic. Shared acknowledgement between survivors of chaos. When she pulled back, she smiled, real this time. I'm glad you're okay. I am now. I replied, me too. And then she left. I stood watching. Quiet street, leaves rustling, the morning indifferent. A life reclaimed. Weeks passed. Megan and I maintained the necessary distance. She had her life, I had mine. The kitchen, once a battleground, now smelled neutral again, but I never returned to the pretense of intimacy. Silence became my ally, observation my tool. I spent my mornings quietly, brewing coffee, reading the paper, maintaining the routines of normalcy. Each day was a brick in reconstructing stability. Megan drifted through her routines, occasionally appearing in common spaces, her presence neutral, not warm. She never attempted the manipulations, the rehearsed smiles. The betrayal replayed in my mind occasionally, a flicker, a shadow that reminded me to remain vigilant. But anger no longer dominated. It was precision and control, clarity over chaos. The hospital recordings, the proof, and the legal victory had carved a line between the past and the life I was rebuilding. Emily became a steady presence, a friendship tempered with empathy. We discussed the fragility of relationships, the way deception could masquerade as necessity. She marveled at my composure, at the methodical approach to reclaiming agency. One evening, I sat on the porch, watching leaves fall, the world quiet. I reflected on the moments that had led here, the kitchen confrontation, Megan's lies, the backyard party, the hospital recordings, the courtroom. Each was a lesson in patience, in measured response, in understanding that truth carried weight no performance could match. Megan's new reality emerged slowly. She adjusted to her separation, learning that control had consequences. I observed from a distance, not to punish, but to ensure boundaries remained respected. The lessons had been harsh, but they were permanent. Weeks became months, life regained rhythm. The sting of betrayal dulled, replaced by focus on self, career, and friendships. I dedicated energy to teaching, to mentoring students, rebuilding trust with those who mattered. One late afternoon, I received a note slipped under my door. Simple, thank you, no name. I recognized the handwriting, Megan, minimal, controlled, respectful, acknowledgement, not affection. Closure extended into civility. I folded the note, placed it on the desk. No rush to respond. Some words deserved silence, some gestures, observation. House, once filled with tension, felt spacious again. Every room carried the echo of past confrontations, but now with a different rhythm. Calm, controlled, purposeful. I maintained routines, planted small joys in daily life, brewing morning coffee, listening to music without distraction, reading. Structure replaced chaos. Occasionally, memories surfaced. The faint scent of her perfume on anniversaries, the soft lilt of her voice during arguments, the image of betrayal crystallized in the hospital parking lot. But they were no longer triggers for anger, only reminders of clarity. Proof that vigilance and measured action yield truth. Emily occasionally checked in. We shared quiet breakfasts, discussions about human behavior, strategy, and resilience. Her presence became a stabilizing force, a testament to surviving shared trauma without losing perspective. Brian, legally responsible for his child, was a distant reminder that truth eventually prevails and that deceit, no matter how intricate, cannot hold against evidence and composure. Weeks turned into months, months into seasons. Life settled into a rhythm of independence, clarity, and control. I reclaimed evenings, mornings, even weekends free from manipulation, betrayal, and pretense. I walked the streets of Raleigh in quiet reflection, noting the subtleties of life, leaves swirling, children laughing, neighbors exchanging greetings. A normalcy I had not realized I missed until it returned. Megan's name became neutral, her presence an occasional whisper rather than a weight pressing on. Daily existence, silence replaced confrontation, truth replaced deceit, control replaced chaos. I revisited the kitchen often, preparing meals with methodical care, reflecting on the conversation that had once fractured our lives. Eggs, toast, coffee, all mundane, now anchors of normalcy. I recognized the power of silence, the ability to let truth unfold without interference, to allow others to face consequences naturally without force. My own reactions had shifted, measured, deliberate, calm. Emily's friendship endured, strengthened by shared understanding, shared recognition of the fragility of trust. We spoke less of Megan, more of lessons of life beyond deceit. Finally, a quiet evening arrived. I stood on the porch, sun low in the sky, a gentle wind stirring leaves. No chaos, no confrontation, only clarity. I realized that while betrayal had once struck like an earthquake, the reconstruction had left the ground firmer than before. The story had ended not with vengeance, but with truth, not with anger, but with clarity, not with chaos, but with control. And in that clarity, I found peace. The life I reclaimed was my own, whole, quiet, real. Closure was complete, no dramatics, no reconciliation forced, only observation, action, and integrity guiding each step. The past existed as a shadow, but it no longer dictated the light. And so, the final chapter closed, Megan moved on, Brian assumed responsibility, Emily remained a quiet anchor, and I, free, steady, and unbroken, stepped into a life reclaimed, into mornings filled with clarity, afternoons with purpose, and evenings with reflection. The kitchen, once a battleground, now smelled like toast, eggs, and faint lavender, a reminder that the ordinary could be sacred, that control could bring peace, and that truth, when handled with patience and precision, triumphs over deception. I paused, coffee in hand, the sun warm on my back. I reflected. Some betrayals hit like earthquakes, but when navigated carefully, the ground beneath can be rebuilt stronger than before. I smiled quietly to myself, not out of joy, but recognition. I survived. I reclaimed my life. And that was the end of my story.